Alrighty, howdy ho folks. Multiversal Medium here for another episode of Dread Delusion. Last time we left off, we finished the main quest with Caxton Frost. Basically got his memories back and he chewed us out for a minute. Why? Because he didn't want to remember nothing and I can't blame him there. Off screen I did actually check something. Both before this episode and before last episode. And hey, guess what finally showed up? Yeah, we're making our way over to a certain place that I kept getting told it's going to be there. Turns out the trigger for it to be there is somehow tied to finishing the main quest with Caxton Frost. I don't know if it would show up after doing the Clockwork King and that, or if it's just the Caxton Frost thing, but yeah, there is now a house over here. I meant to mention it last episode that I checked over here and there wasn't anything, but whatever. Whatever. But did you just use like advanced time on the entire house? What the heck were you doing, girl? She raises her eyebrows as if something about you has caught her attention. Welcome, cousin. It's a pleasure to meet you. You came here to buy spells, I presume. I could tell you're not with the king, so I don't mind doing business. He can't hear us here. They think they can stop me selling magic? Imagine. Me of all people. I'm older than the king, and I'm better at magic too. Yeah, you just used advanced time on the entire cottage, didn't you? Yes, I'd like to do business. No, I came about something else. Show machinist insignia. Actually, I am in the king's service. Yeah, I'd like to do business. So what'll it be? First, let's trade. Yes, let's. I'm very proud of my selection. Immolation incantation. Shoots a fireball at enemies, damaging them and causing burn damage over time. The ability to immolate the air itself is cause for concern. Some scholars speculate that a powerful miscast gets spread through the air, setting the whole sky realms ablaze. Ah, heck yeah, man, we're buying that, definitely. Elixir of Spellcast improves the potency of spells. Spells draw energy from the narrow connections. I'm pretty certain we've been over that. Okay. So what'll it be? May I ask a question? A question? Of course, cousin. I don't mind. Hashtag, this building is enchanted, so we can speak freely here. Who are you? What is the Clockwork King? Who are you? I am a high sage, the last of a long line of heredity. My father sat council with the highest leaders of old Cardova. But perhaps I'm revealing my age a bit too much. Was that all you wanted to know? What is your name? I have no name. My father was the same, and his mother before. The second-born was always the successor. Without a name, I can't be written into runes, and as a result, I'm immune to a great many curses and spells, particularly cipher magic. That's honestly ingenious. It's such a weird way of properly working around such things, but I love it. So unlike most idiots on this island, my memories have never been effed with. I can tell if someone has had their memories forgotten, you know. That's why I took an interest in you. Is that all you want to know? What is the Clockwork King? The king? I suppose you could think of him like a sort of cluster of powerful curses and seals. That kind of magic used to be banned, back when this land was known as Cardova. Is that all you want to know? No. Tell me of old Cardova. Ah, the stories I could tell of this land, as if it was in my youth. I don't know where to begin. The entire landscape changed after that cursed city dropped anchor, even the weather. Things were slower back then. Whenever there was a shortage of food, families would band together to produce the necessary offering to the Mother Goddess. Everyone knew each other. Is that all you wanted to know? Tell me of the old gods. The king erased almost all memory of the Mother Goddess and her two daughters. But when I was younger, their names commanded an unrivaled power and respect. Legend goes that the goddess became pregnant of the mind and birthed her two twins out of her ears. How Athenian. So those of you that don't know, Athena, goddess of strategic war in Greek mythology, is it Greek or Roman? The names for frickin' the gods and various mythological entities always just kind of confuse me when it comes to Greek and Roman. Like Hercules is Roman. You think it's Greek. That's actually the Roman pronunciation. It's actually Heracles in Greek. Anyways. Athena. Well, I guess it would be Athena because it's Athens. Anyways. Was born of Zeus. As in, Athena was just born from Zeus. One day, Zeus had a splitting headache, like a horrible migraine, completely destroying their entire schedule, one of the worst headaches ever. And they asked Hephaestus, legit, to just smash a hammer across their head, because it is the worst headache. Crack their head open. George Carlin did a bit about this, like, you ever have a headache so bad you just wish you could take a nice hammer and just get that brief moment of, the pressure's gone. Kind of thing. Well, Zeus did that with Hephaestus, and Hephaestus cracked a hammer across Zeus's skull. And out came Athena. Full adulthood, completely set up with her, like, everything. Just a full adult goddess came out of Zeus's head. I can't remember the exact myth that led up into this, as well as the after effects, but that is how Athena was born. From Zeus's skull. And I'm certain there's some allegory there about how a man's daughter can be a headache, especially when she's smart. And I'd rather not get into that allegory. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was somewhere in there and meant to be that way. Because the Greeks were kind of effed. I love them, but they were kind of effed. Anyways, this whole birthing their children from the head is not too far out there in actual theology. To her elder daughter, who was born of the moon, she gave the mountains to the northeast. And to her younger daughter, who was born of the sun, she gave the bluffs of the south, where the corruption now runs rampant. Honestly, I guess this is how you'd know where to find their carcasses. This is outright a hint where they're at. When the king arrived, the mother goddess suffered a slow death. Is it supposed to be suffed or suffered? Is suffed a word? Hold up, we're looking that up. We are looking that up. I learned so many new vocab during Dread Delusion. It's nice. Suffed meaning. Nope. Suffed is not a word. That is legit a misspelling. They kind of effed up right there. Well, the more you know. I'm assuming they meant suffered. Anyways. The mother goddess suffered a slow death, emaciated and forgotten by all but a handful. Our sacrifices could only slow her decline. We buried her in secret, and her twins scattered into hiding. Oh, so yeah, legit, it is a tomb. I even mentioned that when we walked into that area. It's like she got a proper burial, but I thought she was forgotten. So this woman was one of the few that properly buried her after her death. Was that all you wanted to know? I guess that's technically all I wanted to know. Anything else? I mean, I want to know more. Be safe, cousin. Like, I want to keep talking nonstop. That's really interesting stuff. Just nothing else really to ask, which is a bummer. I'm certain if I showcase the machinist insignia, she'd just laugh. She kind of has that, like, bad A energy to it. Give me some silk. Heck yeah. Like, if you could more easily rotate saves, I would be doing probably every single means of dialogue choices and stuff. I really would. just pop a save right before any quest or important dialogue bit, and then just immediately like reload and go through them. But then again, it kind of leads to multiple playthroughs with how it's set up, which is not bad. Besides the fact that I go everywhere and kind of view everything, I feel like you could plow through this game pretty quick. Heck, just last episode we found a freaking like way to sequence break the City of Progress. So yeah. Cipher charts in hand. Farewell. I think we're technically probably done with the cipher chart nonsense. Pretty certain we've gotten basically everywhere. But yeah, you could probably plow through a majority of this game if you did not care about reading and actually checking things super quick. So I'm doing like all the side quests. I really am. There's no reason to actually technically bother with the Pega thing. I don't need to fix the Clockwork Kingdom. The only things I need to do plotline wise is get all the people to help me face Vela Close. Yeah, I do end up stronger from it because I'm collecting all these delusions that are tied to the rewards from quests, but even then, that's not super necessary as far as I'm aware. We just need to outright get stuff done. Yeah, I was about to say, like, isn't there supposed to be a thing? What was it? Who's it? Isn't this still locked? No, this one I don't think works. Yeah, that one just doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Feels weird being back here. Right at the start of the game. Good OST and everything. It just feels odd. Well, yeah, basically, I'm pretty certain you could plow through a majority of this game. Let's see here. Quest-wise, I'm pretty certain... the hunt for Vela Close. You have found and recruited a small crew of former Dark Star mercenaries. With their help, your hunt for Vela can begin in earnest. Report back to the High Confessor in the Blinding Light to plan your next course of action. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all we're sitting with. Start to get the main quest going in earnest. I think this will probably net us a ship in some way, shape, or form. And by netting us a ship, gosh, can we upgrade it? It's going to be like a floating house. That'd be nice. We'll upgrade things around every ship dock, so maybe. But yeah, I think it's time to talk to High Confessor. Wait a minute, girl. What's up? My, haven't you been busy? All the former Dark Stars have returned. She cackles and coughs just like old times. Together we've conceived a plan. According to Orlaith, Vela has fled to the Underlands. And what's more, she knows where. You will take these Dark Star criminals as your companions. You will pursue Vela. You will not fail. I'll not go to the Underlands. That's a death sentence. What's down there exactly? Okay, so how will we do it? What's down there exactly? Centuries ago, the Emberians built an empire of metal and magic in defiance of the gods. It stretched across the world's surface, and humanity prospered. She spits the word. Yeah, and that's the death god that's right on our frickin' doorstep in the Blinding Light. The one that revives you. Yeah, that boy. I actually looked it up. You get an achievement for beating this game and never meeting that god. So if you play through the entire game without dying once where they don't have to revive you, you get an achievo. But 400 years ago, the world rend, blasted that empire to dust. Only the sky realms survived. All that's left down there are cursed ruins, haunted by ghosts, and patrolled by mechanical horrors. The very air is poisoned with a thick miasma. Traversing that place will be difficult. I have the utmost faith that you will die nobly for our cause. You may even succeed. I'll not go to the Underlands. That's a death sentence. She jabs a mechanical limb in your direction. And so what if it is? Must I remind you that you are still my prisoner? You have explored these lands as penance for your crimes. If I send you to your certain demise, you will do so gladly. Okay, so how will we do it? Caxton Frost has finished repairing the blinding light. We can launch a small cutter airship on an expedition to the Underlands. But first, I will let you do the honors of activating the blinding light. Go to the main control panel and set the alert for battle stations. Ooh, I get honors? I get to do a thing? A thingy thing that things thingly? Actually, I'm curious where the other people are. So that's Mr. Whatever that was drinking and all that. Assuming that's battle stations right there. Yeah, let's go find everyone. There's the Iberian soldier. Yeah, Caxton is... You Eggman mofo. Okay, that's where he is. Right next to the ship and all that, which makes sense. Honestly does, but that just leaves the question, where is the Duchess? That's who I'm curious about. Let's actually talk to everyone first, too. No reason not to. I haven't talked to any of them. Brat, blast, sugar, blinking, blooming, flipping, fudge. Still having trouble cursing? Say it with me. Cunt. Cunt. Maybe this is good for you. It'll force you to get creative. I love all of these. Maybe this is good for you. It'll force you to get creative. Oh, go and gargle your own urine. But enough of that. Are you bothering me for a purpose? Or do you truly value your time so cheaply as to spend it on bloomin' chit-chat? Want to see how you're settling in? I wanted to ask you about something. This clockwork exoskeleton is new. It helps you walk. That's all. Good luck with the fortress. I want to see how you're settling in. Oh, like a louse in an armpit. Who the fluff do you imagine restored this fortress in the first place? Given my abrupt departure from the Dark Stars, I suppose it's nice to be finishing the job. If only these dashed Union cretins would stop trying to assist me. As it happens, my father helped build these monsters back in the God War. The wooden parts are Lundalese, but the guns, plumbing, and nearly everything metal was made in Cordova. He used to put me to sleep by reciting component and assembly procedures. Anything can be a lullaby, I guess. That explains a lot. So this fortress was made in the Clockwork Kingdom. Well, I'm glad you're feeling at home. So this fortress was made in the Clockwork Kingdom. Correct, although back then it was called the Cordovan Republic. Somewhere in the guts of this thing, there'll be a nameplate laid down in such and such a year. Progress Cordova. No gods, no masters. Funny how that one turned out. That explains a lot. Touche. Well, I'm glad you're feeling at home. Frost scowls. I want to go that far. Will that be all? I wanted to ask you about something. Let's see if you can come up with a question I haven't heard before. About the task at hand, about your past. Actually, no further questions. About the task at hand. Yes, the search for my erstwhile comrades, or should I say my former targets. Either way, this reunion will be interesting. I see you've pressed old Jack Basalt back into active service. The poor fellow's currently avoiding me, which is adorable. Considering Caxton Frost and Jack Basalt's past, Caxton probably legitimately means it's adorable. Caxton Frost finds it cute. Granted, we hardly parted on the best of terms, but at some point, we'll need to have a little chat. Ooh, that is some loud thunder coming through. I wonder if that got picked up on the mic. Anyways, yeah, that's... I wonder if Caxton still feels anything for Jack. Whatever. Alas, I'd forgotten how much the Duchess infuriates me. What she calls magic is merely the cant of a more primitive age. Reciting cipher spells from memory, for pity's sake. Like carrying a cart on your shoulders after the invention of the wheel. I get on rather well with Orlaith, or the Imberiad, as you mustn't call her to her face. Initially we despised each other, but then we had an arm wrestle and everything was tickety-boo. Though I was too drunk to remember it, I choose to believe I won. Caxton Frost, when the frickin' letter about your death, the newspaper, mentioned how charming and how all the nobles loved you, I understand now why that needed to be put in. You are a delight about your past, must we? What was your life like before joining Vela? I was born and raised in Progress. Back then they still called it Istrickburg. Istricksburg? My mother made ammunition, while my father toiled in the fortress works. It was dangerous, but far better than serfdom in Lundel. For the first time in history, my family was wealthier than dirt. No, you really don't sound like a peasant. You hide your common origins very well. He smiles without mirth. Horace Metcalf was hardly the first of my disguises. After the God War, I studied in Bayonne, a scholarship funded by the new Cardovan Republic. My Union classmates were scions of barons or wealthy merchants, and they tormented me frightfully. Yet I was punished merely for setting them lightly on fire. Oh yeah, I like you, man. You're good. You're the good. There's no justice in this world. At least you left them something to remember you by. At least you left them something to remember you by. Indeed, eventually my studies were cut short by Cordova's split from the Union. I returned home to begin my archaeological career. Believe it or not, in those days I was more like Horace Metcalf than the ruthless mercenary now before you. Unquestionably, these were the best years of my life. I followed my curiosity to the edge of the sky and even to the underlands, winning great renown and no small compensation. Yet I always felt as if everything could be snatched away if I failed to deliver even once. Perhaps that is why I felt so much more at home among the outcasts, oddballs, and reprobates of the Dark Star Company. Tell me of your time as a Dark Star. Where does one even begin? We fought. We caroused. We feasted. We starved. We loved and we despised. We hurt each other, then we nursed each other. We were family, with all the best and worst implied by such a word. The Caxton Frost who stands before you is a product of those days. He had to be sharp, ruthless, avenge every insult threefold, lest others smell blood. I'm told I was actually the inspiration for the Kadish Rakill stories, but I've never read them myself. Bella could tell it was a facade, but she was gracious or canny enough not to expose me in front of the crew, except when she was truly angry. One minute she could make you feel like you were bathed in starlight, the next, like the basest of worms. Did she ever suspect you were a spy? How did you manage to maintain your persona? Did she ever suspect you were a spy? I've often wondered. Certainly our expeditions contributed much to the kingdom's progress. Sometimes I got the uncanny sense that she knew my real purpose, yet kept me around anyway. Why she would do so I cannot say. Perhaps it was simply our shared fascination with the Imberians. She told me once that I reminded her of someone who had been dear to her long ago. I never did find out who, though. How did you manage to maintain your persona? Frost snorts. Why, I'd been doing that all my life. The only difference now was the extra pay. I mean, yeah, fair. Actually, I had my suspicions that the Clockwork King may have helped. At the time, I had no idea that its majesty could alter minds. I do recall being surprised at how quickly I took to the role. Of course, I can prove nothing. Let me ask you something else. Now, was that really your best attempt at an original question? I think you could do better. I still don't understand why you had to wipe your memory. Frost sighs. Frankly, I'm not completely sure myself. But consider what had led to that moment. 8 years undercover. Can you imagine what that's like? To be believable, you cannot merely pretend. One part of you must truly become the false self, while another watches from the outside, remembering your mission. I knew that if I betrayed the Clockwork King, it would never stop hunting me. Yet I couldn't bear to live in deceit for one more day. Thus, the inevitable conclusion: the best cover identity is one who doesn't even realize he's fake. I haven't decided whether I like being Frost again. He used to feel like armor, and now he feels confining. Still, he's indisputably the man for the job. I must admit, it's easier when I don't have to be two people at once. Was that really your best attempt at an original question? I think you do better. I'd like to ask you another topic entirely. See if you can come up with a question I haven't heard before. Actually, no further questions. No points for novelty, I'm afraid, but at least you tried. This clockwork exoskeleton is new. Helps you walk? My, how observant you are. In fact, ambulatory support is merely one of its functions. The first incarnation was rather less powerful, but to be fair, I was rather smaller. Expect you to want the whole story. After all, it is so very inspirational. Please go on. I'll spare you the exhaustive history of my diverse ailments. Suffice it to say that I was a sickly child. The only thing my physicians agreed upon was that I must submit completely to their humiliating remedies, no matter how painful or ineffective. I disagreed, and in due course it proved that with a little technological cunning, I could treat myself better than they could. Machines, you see, actually listen to what one tells them. How people loved to hear that tale once I grew up. The machinists loved it especially. Come to the Clockwork Kingdom, where even a low-born invalid can travel the skies and be garlanded as a champion of the realms. True, I was dogged and ingenious. But to what purpose? Yes, I improved my capabilities. But for whose benefit? Certainly I accomplished great things. But for whom? Myself? He sneers. What a cozy thought. Sometimes I almost wish I hadn't bothered. At least then, I wouldn't have been so useful. That's fair. That's all. Good luck with the fortress. Just as you're turning away, there's an awkward cough. Actually, one moment, if you please. I wish to... That is... It behooves me... Dash it all. Let's not prevaricate about the bush. You're quite correct to scold me back in the kingdom. The word for what I was doing is wallowing, specifically in childish rage and self-pity. He pauses and apparently unsure what to say next. Is thank you perhaps the phrase you're looking for? Don't mention it, we all have our bad days. I gotta frickin' tease this dude. Is thank you perhaps the phrase you're looking for? Confound it. What else would I be trying to say? Bog off before I regret such wasteful sentimentality. Love you too, Caxton. Gosh dang, that dude is a delight. Legit. Considering how much they all claim Vela is wonderful too, and a delight, I'm wondering if a different setting where you actually got to be friends with her, she'd be as wonderful to talk to, just like him. Okay, first we gotta find this Duchess. That looks new. Yeah, that's different. Yeah. Ellen's hand gently moves as you approach. You think she looks content, though admittedly you know very little of sentient hands. Yeah. I only know about the one in frickin' the Addams Family and Dio, so... Oh wait, and idle hands. Yeah, so I know only 3 hands that are sentient. Anyways, what's up, Duchess? Oh. I think she took off her hood. I think she had that on earlier. You should probably keep that on, not gonna lie. Anyways, it's good to be out in the sky realms again. One could get frightfully bored spending eternity in dusty old tombs. Yeah, I'd imagine. How are you settling in? Just about finished transposing my collection of essential grimoires. Not a bad spot for them, eh? It's pretty decent, you know, just floating next to a giant cannon. I must admit, it's exciting to see all these mortals scurrying around. There's an urgency to mortal life that's been lost to my kind. I realize now that since giving up this life, I've missed it. Wanted to ask you something. Go ahead, mortal. About the task at hand. She nods. I understand you're still looking for my former comrades. Well, you should start with Jack Basalt. You'll probably find that old sea slug in the nearest tavern, which I understand to be the Wobbly Noggin pub in Hollowtown. Now, if you're looking for Vela, you'll need to track down Orlaith, or as most folk call her, the Emberian. If anyone knows where Vela is, it's going to be her. Last I heard, she was hunting for Emberian ruins in Hallowshire. If you're going to get this place up and running again, your best bet is to find Caxton Frost, one of the finest engineers I've ever known. I imagine he's back in the Clockwork Kingdom. About your past? There's quite a lot of it. What do you want to know? Tell me about your time as a Dark Star merc. Well, I spent most of my pitiful existence trying to avoid my duties as a Duchess. If you can, try to imagine 600 years of etiquette and droll ceremony. It's enough to drive anyone to madness. So I left my seat, my realm, my duties. I wandered the sky realms, drifting through places beyond my imagining, while I fell into the company of an ambiguous young mortal called Vela. A thin smile spreads across her lips. You know, when I first joined them, I thought it would prove a trifling amusement to watch such an incongruous bunch of mortals get themselves killed. But oh, it turned out to be so much more. To be in the company of those dark stars was to be in the flow of constant change. No longer was I rotting in a tomb, in adherence to tradition. Every day we sent ripples through the world. She sighs, and I even allowed myself to get swept up in her rhetoric. Believe that there could be hope for myself and my kind. But, like all mortal endeavors, it couldn't last. Bella's flame began to flicker. Her optimism gave way to fear and desperation. Eventually, Orlaith led the mutiny that tore the Dark Stars apart. Many of us scattered after that. Personally, I had no interest in loitering around the carcass of a once great thing, so I returned home to a more familiar pile of bones. What caused so many Dark Stars to leave? Well, it all started with the God Killer contract. It was at the height of the Dark Stars' infamy, when all the sky realms seemed to whisper our names in hushed tones. We were contracted by a Ryovan noble who wanted us to assassinate a major god. Bella was excited. Such a feat would cement our reputation, but not everyone was happy. The Wiccan, a senior Dark Star and a very close friend of Ella, saw this as a betrayal of her own kind. Bella argued. To be a dark star, we had to leave our former allegiances behind. The new world we were carving had no space for these old and bitter ideologies. But for the Wiccan, killing that god, it was too much, too far. It was crossing a line. So when it came down to it, when we'd hunted that deity into a corner and Vela was poised to make the killing blow, the Wiccan stood in her way. In anger, Vela cast her down. I watched the Wiccan fall from the ship, down below the clouds. And something changed at that moment. Vela was racked with a terrible guilt. She started taking more dangerous, more dubious jobs. That's when her dreams became more radical, and she set her sights on the Emberian artifact. That time it was Orlaith, or rather, the Emberian, who took umbrage. He led many of us to a mutiny against Vela. You want to know more, you should ask her. Tell me about the Great Devouring. 635 years ago, the Endless were born from the hubris and folly of our king. His wretched spell twisted half of the realm into this accursed form. We were born anew, frenzied and hungry. But the realm of Verdant, for that is what it was called, then ate itself. Friends and family who were dining merrily together in the morn were eating each other by the eve. And my family was no different. I was 5 and 30 years of age when it happened. I had a husband, 5 beautiful children. You know the cruelest thing? There was a part of us that knew what was happening. As I tore into my husband's flesh, I howled not in anger, but in sorrow. As my daughter gorged upon the bowels of her brother, I saw the tears streaming down her face. As I picked up my infant son, not 3 months old, I wanted to hold him, to kiss him. I never meant to. Voice croaks, and she is silent a moment. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Is there anything else, mortal? I wanted to ask you something. Go ahead. How is your daughter? She smiles. Doing just fine, thank you. The air is clearer here. She enjoys the breeze on her skin. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Nope, I'm pretty certain that's it. Julio. Yeah, I guess today's episode is just talking to the various individuals. Which means we're working on the Emberian next. What you got to say, girl? What's up? As your texture is kind of clipped through your head. Ah, the blinding light. No, I thought I'd never see this place again. How are you settling in? I wanted to ask you something. How are you settling in? Makes my skin crawl, seeing the Inquisition agents scurrying around. Keep thinking they're going to grab me and throw me in a cell. If siding with this lot is the only way to get Bella, I suppose I'll have to get used to it. Wanted to ask you something. I'll oblige. About the task at hand. I hear you're gathering a bunch of former Dark Stars, right? Well, I'll help you best I can. First of all, you'd better find Vela's old quartermaster, Jack Basalt. If he's in town, he'll surely be in the Wobbly Noggin pub. He always did have a weakness for the strong stuff after all. Now, I find this kind of weird. Now, we've talked to all 3 of the individuals besides Jack Basalt. As far as I was aware, in Hallowshire, we could not even try to start talking to Orlaith before getting Jack Basalt to send us after her and the other 2. Like, she just wasn't there. I remember going to the area we found her. But until we did the main quest and recruited Jack Basalt, we couldn't. So I find it weird that even she says, yeah, he'd be at the Wobbly Noggin. I don't think there's a way to get her without having Jack Basalt already. I don't know about the other 2. The other 2, maybe you could. Maybe they wouldn't be in their homes and you wouldn't be able to start the quest until you do Jack Basalt's thing as well. But yeah, just, it's a bit odd. I don't know why this dialogue's here, but whatever. If you're looking for the Duchess, She'll probably be back at her family manor in the Endless Realm. Can't say for sure where it is, though. Now, Caxton Frost. He always struck me as a little odd, though I suppose the feeling was probably mutual. Maybe he returned to the Clockwork Kingdom? About your past. She says nothing. So, you were really found in an Iberian vat? That's what I said, didn't I? Vela found me in a vat of liquid in some Iberian ruin, back when we were children. There's no clue who I was, or how long I'd been there, save for a metal plaque that read Orlaith. Oh, that's what they called me. I awoke with a head full of knowledge. How to speak Old Iberian, how to fight, how to use ancient, useless machines. I didn't have any memories of my own, just faded dreams of sparkling cities. Bella's father was furious with her, of course, for sneaking off into ruins by herself. He threw Vela into the brig along with me. She smiles. Not that Vela cared. She was so excited, her very own Iberian friend. You said Vela was like a sister to you. After she found me, Vela eventually convinced her father to adopt me. Of course, he had me stay with the servants, but it was better than being pawned off to the Erudite Academy as some curiosity. And he gave me an education, just like his daughter. When we weren't studying, we played all over the manor. It was huge. But back then, I thought everyone in the Sky Realms lived like kings. Bella's father was an admiral in the Apostatic Union Navy, you see. And when we were ready, we got Vela groomed for command. We served on the same Navy ship with Captain Basalt, though my hammock swung with the deckhands. Claimed to be an equal, but always treated separate, she sighs. That's when I saw the Sky Realms for what they truly were. And then, there was the Daishan massacre. That was the day that Isabet died. Something snapped in Vela. That day she could no longer trust the Union, or her father, so she resolved to leave. We stowed away as deserters, but at the last moment Captain Basalt himself caught us. I thought we were done for, that we'd be thrown in some dungeon to rot. But Basalt? I think he was as shaken as us. He took the rudder without a word, and we all left together. Suppose the Dark Stars were born that day. Tell me of your time as a Dark Star merc. You know, a few years back, if you'd caught us in a tavern, with bellies full of grog, we'd have sung you songs that would have made you laugh and cry, and regurgitate your supper, but I ain't got the heart to sing them now. Been sailing with Vela for years. Me, Vela, and Basalt. In the beginning, it was just us. By the end, I couldn't keep count of our number. Vela always had a way with people, you know. There was the glint in her eye. She'd give you this thin smile and stare right at you. Like she really knew you. And she'd tell you exactly what you needed to hear. She smiles to herself. She had the whole company believing they were going to change the Sky Realms, make a difference, or at least get filthy rich trying. Sometimes I wonder if she even believed it herself. Most couldn't see it, but I could tell she was hurting. When we heard of the cradle, she latched onto it like it could fix that broken thing inside her. I just hope I did the right thing in trying to stop her. Because gods know, I still think of the people we lost in that mutiny. That's fair. Okay, actually, never mind. Not a problem. That's a big suit of armor. This whole thing. He raises an arm as the armor plates clink and shift. You notice intricate mechanisms moving beneath. Yeah, they don't make them like those anymore. The Iberians would inscribe their metal with cipher. Too intricate to see with the naked eye. It makes the stuff stronger than it has any right to be. In the early days, we'd raid Iberian ruins. Out to just Vela and me. A lot of them were already cleared out by raiders, or so you'd think, but I somehow knew there were things hiding still hidden. A lever there, a switch here, a few taps on a keypad. Folks often wonder how we'd score such big hauls. Used to say we were lucky, or using forbidden wicked charms or something. She shrugs. Suppose there's some good things about being born from a tube. Okay, that's all I want to know. Alright. Yeah, that's a rough girl. It's really rough. A lot of rough aspects right there. Gosh dang. Okay, Jack Basalt. Let's see what you got to say. He nods. Confessor, what can I do for you? Are you settling in, or can I ask you some questions? How are you settling in? The blinding light. I remember when we captured this place from its union caretakers. He smirks. Back when we thought we could get away with anything. Can I ask you about something? And what might that be? About the dark stars I'm looking for. Right, you want to hear some more info? Tell me about the Emberian. Ooh, some nice thunder. The Emberian. That's what people call her. But I knew her as Orlaith. She's been close to Vela for years. It is one of the few who can match her with a blade. He was one of the first of the Dark Stars. Time was. It was just me, Vela, and Orlaith, setting out on a wobbly sloop. By the end, Orlaith was captain of the ship, and second only to Vela. She wears an ancient suit of Emberian armor. And on account of that, folk like to say she's 400 years old. Too. Of course, that's a load of nonsense. After the mutiny, she set out on her own. I heard whispers she set up camp somewhere in Hallowshire, but I can't tell you any more than that. Tell me more about the Endless Duchess. The Endless Duchess, she's a powerful cipher wizard. She went back to her ancestral home in the Endless Realm. And like all those you'll find there, she's cursed to never truly die. And tell me more about Caxton Frost. Frost called himself a techno-archaeologist, and if you laughed at that, he'd teach you a brutal lesson. That's why we dubbed him the Professor. The man was always an odd fish, distant, melancholy. You never could quite tell what he was thinking, but no one knew more than him about ancient Emberian machines. Or modern ones, for that matter. As for how to find him, well, he talks like a posh prat, but swears like a sailor. Doesn't suffer fools gladly, or at all. Has trouble walking. Oh, and he has a moth tattoo on his left arse cheek. Now, word on the Dark Star grapevine is that Frost is dead. Two crewmates saw him jump overboard one night, in the open sky. Afterward, they found a note. He sided with Vela in the mutiny, you see? Couldn't get over what he'd done. But me? Nah. Won't believe it until I've stood out my own cigar in his cold, dead eye. Frost always was a patriot at heart. He's alive. Odds are he's back in the Clockwork Kingdom. How do you know about his tattoo? Salt smirks. I'll leave that to your imagination, Confessor. Okay, that's all. Right, Yara, anything else? Got your past. Huh, dredging that up, are we? Tell me about your time as a captain. For a time, I was the most respected captain in the Union Navy. I took orders directly from Admiral Close, Vela's father. For 5 years, I trained Vela aboard my ship. When Vela defied her father and fled to become a mercenary, I followed. I gave up my rank, my station, my ship, to spend my years cavorting with Wiccans and pirates. Shame of the Union Navy, they branded me. Tell me of the Dark Star Mutiny. A few years back, Vela found a map. A map that pointed to something impossible. You'd use it to make a heaven of the sky realms, she said. Change the fabric of reality, so folk don't know poverty or injustice, or even death. I'm sure she believed it. Believes it still. But for a lot of us, Dark Stars, it scared us witless. You just don't go meddling with things like that, unless you want to die screaming. We tried to convince her, to make her see reason, but she took us down into the Underlands anyway, on that mad pursuit. We mutinied, and the Dark Stars spilled their own blood on those sky ships. In the end, Vela escaped with those loyal to her, and the rest of us scattered to lick our wounds. A wicked time that was. Okay, anything else about Vela Kalos? What about her? So you trained Vela? Aye, Vela and the Emberian. Though they'd been schooled at the academy, their father wanted them to sling their hammocks and tie their knots like regular sea dogs. So they did. Through blizzards, cipher storms, and cannon volleys. Those sisters thrived until the Daishan massacre. He thumbs the rim of his drink that he doesn't have because it's just all dialogue that's supposed to be the same as when we first met him at the pub. I won't speak of that here, not here, but that was the day Vela decided to leave the Navy, and her father, that was the day we became mercenaries. Why are you hunting her? You had to understand. I love that girl like she's my own. I've seen her grow from a headstrong child into a fierce captain. And there was a time when we were sailing together as Dark Stars, when I thought she might be the greatest of them all. So to see her fall into barbarism and villainy has been hard. Can't abide by what she's done, or by what she will do. She seeks to save us, but she'll likely doom us. So I had to stop her, you see? For her own sake. Oh. What's she looking for in the Underlands? She hunts something there. She has done for years. Something of terrible power. Can't tell you exactly what it is, only that she plans to use it to meddle with reality itself, which could be the doom of us all. Okay, that's all. Nope, I think that's it. One last thing, I say... Yeah, I think we can go this way. Let's go talk to the ancient death god over yonder. If we can get any dialogue about anything. Hey, what's up, man? Welcome back, human. What did Vela capture you? Why else? She craved my power. I am unique in the pantheon of major gods, as I can sense the moment of one's demise, and still them from their fate. But in her arrogance, this was not enough, for I cannot revive someone who is long dead. There are no gods who can, save perchance the dreamers themselves. So she kept me chained here. Such is the sorry state of the world that no followers came to save me. Not even the Wiccans came to my aid. Dang, that cursed god war. Who are you? How times have changed that a human would ask such a thing. There were times in ages past when my shrines were in 1,000 settlements, when every Wiccan knew my name, when my mind rang with the prayers of your kind. I will not stoop to introducing myself, but know this, there are still those loyal to me, who preserve my hidden shrines. It is to these places that I will summon you, should your death be imminent. Farewell, remember our bargain, human? Yep, okay. Like, I was about to ask, how is this one still alive? Or if it can be considered alive in a sense. All things considered. The fact, like, practicing anything religion-wise is very looked down upon. And even now, Wiccans are having enough just trying to keep up with their patron deity and all that. But that one answer about how there are still ones who do worship them and keep their shrines going in various settlements, because yeah, that's where we respawn if we die at any moment, so yeah. Okay. It's almost been an episode, but let's just pull the lever. Ooh, we actually get a cutscene? Oh, wow. Ooh. Is this entire thing a shit? Oh gosh. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting the entire... Okay. Blinding Light Fortress to be a ship itself. I kind of love it. Can we close this door, by the way? I think it might be smart to close this door. Like, not for nothing. It feels like not safe in a lot of ways. One, because obviously I'm an idiot and I would walk out it. But two, air pressure and everything kind of... We're not in a pressurized cabin. We're moving around, so... You know, maybe stuff would just go out that door. Anyways. Ah, do you feel that? The blinding light takes to the skies once again. You never said this was an airship. Can't we just fly this whole ship after Vela? You never said this was an airship. She scoffs. Have you not seen the grand painting or its many reproductions? Blinding light impales a horror? Or heard the numerous songs and stories embellished as they may be? I cannot be blamed for your ignorance. Can't we just fly this whole ship after Vela? This flying fortress is too large to make the descent. The storms that permanently rage above the Underlands would tear it to shreds. But we can launch a small clutter vessel with a reinforced hull that may survive the journey. The Tribunal can monitor your progress from the safety of the skies. So what next? You and the former Dark Stars will assemble into a counter-worship strike force and pursue Vela. Your mission is as follows. You will make your way to the hangar at the Blinding Light, where there is a small cutter airship ready to descend to the Underlands. Jack Basalt will pilot the craft, while the Duchess's magic will shield it from the unrelenting chaos of the Understorms. Caxton Frost will disarm whatever ancient security systems you find on the surface. Once you land, Orlaith will guide the way to the cradle. Exactly what the cradle is, we don't know, but Vela thinks it can rewrite the very fabric of reality. Needless to say, she must be stopped. She pauses. A ghastly rattle issues from within her workings. Is it a sigh? She sounds almost moved. Listen, Confessor, if it were up to me, we'd have a whole naval fleet hurtling down there. But the Union Navy doesn't want to hear it. They think this coffin they stuffed me in has clouded my reason. I have the authority to send only the most expendable of my tribunal. She points a mechanical limb in your direction. But loath as I am to admit it, you've proven yourself just as capable as any operative under my command. Probably more so. It'll fall solely on your team to stop Vela at any cost. Remember that she meddles with forces beyond our comprehension and threatens the stability of not just the apostatic union, but the whole of the Sky Realms. Is your mission clear, Confessor? Gosh, what is that, 17? Yeah. All clear. I have questions. I have questions. Very well, but make them quick. We are ready to depart. Do we know what Vela's doing down there? Long ago, before the Dark Star mutiny, Vela found a map to some ancient thing, powerful and dangerous beyond belief. The Iberians called it the Cradle. Orlaith was with Vela when she discovered the map. She thinks she can get you there for all of our sakes. You'd better be right. Because while we know next to nothing about this cradle, what we do know chills me to the bone. Our intel is correct. The thing works. Vela could rewrite the very language of cipher that ties reality together. That means she could unravel existence itself. She could end the world as we know it. So what next? Wasn't expecting me just to get kicked out of dialogue right there. I have questions. What dangers can we expect in the Underlands? Can we trust the loyalty of the team? What dangers can we expect in the Underlands? I won't lie to you, Confessor 17. There are many. Your first challenge will be the Understorms. Since the world rend, a raging tempest has engulfed the surface. To get through unscathed will take all the Duchess's cipher craft. As soon as you land, you will be cursed by the thick miasma that lingers in the ruins. Unless you can find some way to counteract it, you will suffer weakness of mind and body. Then there are the dangers that stalk the rubble. Those few who have returned from the Underlands alive have told of soldiers made of metal who never tire in their patrols and vengeful wraiths who can cut a person in twain. Can we trust the loyalty of the team? It is true that while your comrades are Dark Star, no longer, they may feel conflicting loyalties when faced with their former leader. As many who meet Vela are swayed by her radical ideals, I cannot even be sure of your own loyalties, Confessor. I know Vela. These past few years she has been watching her back with a frenzied paranoia. She will not trust anyone meddling with her plans. Should any of you prove traitorous to the Inquisition, I know it is Vela who will cut you down. All clear, I'm ready. Good. Make your way to the hangar to depart. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. So quick question, like, does this one elevator work now? Is this a thing? Okay, this just works? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, sure. Okay. Guess it makes sense why it was never working until now. Okay, guys, it's obviously been an episode. I'm just gonna go back up, hop a save in the blinding light, and we'll call it there. Are we able to just like fly the little cutter ship around? That's something we're able to do? Huh. 'Cause that thing seems specifically made to, I don't know, go to the Underlands. I thought we'd get a ship to, you know, just kind of fly around the Sky Realms on our own. Because there's a lot of, like, islands around that it's like, yeah, we should be able to fly there and there and there and such. Maybe we'll be able to do that. Who knows? Gonna have to find out possibly next episode. I'm hoping that, this is not the point of no return. Basically, once we get in that ship and head out. And by that, I mean, like, we're kind of locked into doing the main quest and finishing the main quest. Because, yeah, there's still side quests. I thought we'd be able to fly stuff. Maybe I'll look into it off screen. If you guys know otherwise, feel free to let me know in the comments or whatever, but it's been an episode. I'll talk to y'all later. But until then, it's been fun, guys, and ciao.